Hey Ammas, welcome to the Old Amma Club. I'm Joyce.
And I'm Sophia.
We are two friends in Los Angeles who had so many great coffee chats about our love for Jesus, being Korean in biracial marriages, and having kids mid-career, mid-30s. So we decided to turn it into a podcast.
So grab a cup of coffee and join our conversations about aching backs, motherhood, marriage, Jesus, and everything in between. You ready?
하나,
둘,
셋, let's go!
Let's go.
Hey Ammas! We are on part 2 of our discipline and discipleship kind of discussions. Today being more specific on how we are choosing to discipline or correct or boundary setting or however word verbiage you'd like to use. But essentially talking about specifically with each of our children and what we're kind of working through with just guiding them into who the adults and humans that they are.
Yeah. Part 1 was more misconceptual, is theoretical. It was talking about our understanding of the word discipline, but then also how we interpret it. And then part 2 is the nitty-gritties. It's the vulnerable part. It is about how then do we discipline our kids? How then do we bring our ideas about parenting into real life? And discipline is hard. I think it's probably the hardest thing about parenthood for me, besides for disciplining myself in the midst of parenthood. Second is disciplining my kids.
Yeah. I mean, it's the most triggering.
Exactly.
It's the most triggering. And I've been thinking about that a lot, especially with our conversations. With part 1, I just never really, got down to the theory level of why I believe the way I think and all that stuff. And so I think it's been bringing up a little bit more self-reflection throughout the day. Part of it is also, we've talked about our mom rage and just the things that we've been working through and things that we've been trying to improve.
Right.
And I've just realized a lot of times the points of where I'm trying to correct my child is where I get the most triggered or loss of my own self-control. And then in that moment, my moment of perhaps possible connection with my child is disrupted because I am just a raging ball of fire. And I'm like, oh, let me bring this back. And I have to later on apologize and bring it back into full circle in a much more calm manner where it's not so triggered and angry.
Yes, I completely relate. I mean, we talked about this in the last episode about how we need to be disciplined in order to discipline our children well. And I'm just the first to say that I'm not a very disciplined person when it comes to self-control, patience, gentleness, kindness, all the things that I hold as ideals in how I want to raise and parent my kids. Those things are still, I don't know, I'm still at very much of an elementary school level. So I'm expecting things out of my kids that I need to work on myself. And so we are disciplining ourselves while we are disciplining our kids. And it's like a full mental load.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would say that you had some level of discipline and everything, especially for being able to graduate university, having a job, and actually being able to hold a job. And I think we all have a certain level of discipline and self-control and regulation in that manner. But I think once you throw kids in, it's different. It's a much deeper level. And you're also stressed out.
I think it's a different muscle. Like, I feel like I'm very disciplined in certain things.
Yeah.
And that there are certain things where I'm very undisciplined because that hasn't been a thing that I've really... Yes, it hasn't really been essential in my life to work on. So that part of my discipline muscles have atrophied. And it just needs a little bit more target workout. Need more target workout sessions.
Yeah. I mean, part of it is also there's the added level of stress or pressure, I think, of your child is watching you at all times.
Yeah.
And so things when you're without a kid, and especially when you're single, you do what you want to do and it affects no one but you, right? But then once you have eyes that stare at you, I'm like, should I do this right now as I'm staring at 2 pairs of eyes, technically 3, and they're all staring at you. I'm like, maybe this is a habit I need to change, or maybe this approach is not the most effective and loving approach because this is not something I want my child to absorb and perhaps internalize and say, this is the narrative that we should be moving through.
Yeah.
Like, Kian called me out so hard today because I had a pair of jeans that I got ordered and it's still in its plastic wrapping, but I put it on like one of our stairs, which is where we kind of put our things on to the side. And he starts opening it. And I told him, I was like, Kian, that's my package. Don't open it. He's like, well, it doesn't have a name on it. It's like, yes, but it is my pair of pants. And he's like, well, how do you know? I'm like, because it has, those are my jeans. I bought them. And he's like, well.
The sass on this kid.
I know. But he's like, well, you shouldn't leave it on the floor because if you leave it on the floor, it's trash, which is exactly what I say to him when he leaves his schnitzel stuff all over the floor. I'm like, don't treat your things like trash. Don't leave it on the floor or else it's trash. I'm going to throw it away. He had the audacity to throw it back at me. He's like, well, you shouldn't leave your stuff on the floor or else it's trash, Emma. And I'm like,
yeah.
Yes, but it wasn't on the floor. It was on the stairs. He was like,
gotcha.
I'm like, ha, little Paul. But it's a reminder of like how they truly do absorb everything. And they are also watching and evaluating and comparing. They're taking notes and they'll call you out so hard when they're like, our notes are not aligned.
Yeah, they reflect everything back.
Mm-hmm.
So they are our mirrors. And just like staring at me, reflecting all the worst parts back to me. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me that I need deep sanctification.
I know. And I think that's what disciplining is so hard too, because there's this added layer and pressure of how I discipline my child is going to have an impact on how they're going to discipline their future children. And I'm like, do I want my kids to be like this to their kids, to my grandchildren, to their children, if they choose to have kids, right?
Yeah. The generation thing. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, all it is to say is that this episode is not a how-to episode. No. It is not an advice episode. No. It is just us sharing
what we're doing.
Honestly, what we are doing and also what we are doing wrong. Mm-hmm. And what we are still working on. But we do have a goal and vision in mind. Let's just talk about let's just get straight into it. What would you say you are working on right now in terms of discipline with your kids? Like first and foremost, the number one thing that comes to your mind right now.
The first thing that comes to my mind is managing my own anxiety and fears. Because
I'm talking about disciplining your kids.
I know, but that impacts how I end up disciplining them. Because part of it is I end up projecting so much of my own anxiety and fears onto them that I discipline them for things that are not relevant or necessary. But for Kian particularly, I think what has been hard is because of his history with food allergies and his eczema history, Tyler and I naturally, and I myself, excluding Tyler, like myself, I run naturally very anxious around Kian because that's just kind of how I've become wired. And I think over the years, over this past year, I've been able to release that a little bit more as things have been improving. And so with Kian, part of it is his anxiousness. And I know that because I run anxious and because of the history of how we've reacted to him, he also runs anxious. And it's also natural, a little bit more natural as like firstborn sons to be anxious types. Mm-hmm. But with Kian particularly, it's been working on his dysregulation and how to work through that and get him to be grounded through that. And also the other aspect is how he interacts with his brother. The particular thing that he's been really doing lately has been he like eggs Tig on in a negative way. And so like we'll say, Tig, don't do that. And then Kian will go, oh, yeah, Tig, do it more. And then Tyler and I are just like, yeah. Well, like, why are you doing and it's like he's in that classic boundary pushing era, right? So he's like, oh, you guys said no, but I want to push the boundary and see how
let's see where it takes us. Yeah.
Let's see where we go with this. And he's testing the boundary. And we tell him every time, you are the one who's going to get in trouble. Like, it's not your brother, it is you. And so that has really been hard. I think right now with Kian, we've been working on boundary pushing and boundary setting and testing those waters, but also his dysregulation has made it tricky because if he's dysregulated, we have to try to get him grounded before we can move forward with anything. And we've been fighting him on that because we've been accidentally, I say we, I know Tyler does it too, but then for me personally, I've been accidentally like his regulation setting tools, we've been using it almost like as a punishment. And so now he doesn't want to do it. And I also get it because his dysregulation comes primarily with excited, happy, silly, and it just goes too far on that spectrum. And it's not typically always anger. His is more towards like he's over the top silly, over the top happy, over the top excited, and he doesn't know how to handle that, and he gets super dysregulated, and it's like days. And of course, yeah, if you're like super excited and happy about something, it's going to feel like punishment if we're saying, hey, you need to go to your corner and like let's calm that down and get your body to calm down. And so that's been the thing that we've really been working on, at least with Kian. With Tyg, it's been hard because his language is not as developed. So when we talk with him or try to work with him, it's been hard. But Tyke gets understanding of emotions, but his hardest thing that we've been working through for him has really just not hitting and not grabbing, and he just hits and he gets crazy. Like his energy is just maybe his classic second child energy, but like he's just wild. Like he really is. He's so sweet, but also so crazy. And Owen, it gets no discipline because he's only 5 months old.
There's no. Yeah, that would be weird saying I'm disciplining my 5 month.
I'm putting boundary setting on my 5-month-old.
Yes.
I'm teaching him that this is when the breastfeeding.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm correcting him on his feeding schedule and his napping schedule.
No, not at all close to that yet. Yes.
No. But yeah, I would say that's kind of where we're at with Kian is like his dysregulation and boundary setting and boundary pushing. Tyg, it's more just his hitting. He's just crazy. He's just crazy. What about you?
I mean, with Uri, she's not even 2 yet. She is currently 20 months. But I'm starting to see behaviors where I'm like, oh, I need to work on this. So one is also hitting. She started to hit. She hits me. She scratches me. She pulls my hair. She grabs my glasses. Either when she's happy or when she's completely dysregulated and she's in the throes of tantrums.
Yeah.
And then she also just hits because she decides that Tove is annoying.
It's her only form of communication.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's effective.
But then, and she doesn't know how to express, hey, you're annoying, stop it.
Right.
That's not where she's at developmentally yet. So, the most natural thing is to just take a palm, raise it up, and then piak.
It works quick. Like, it stops the exact thing that she thinks is annoying. I understand.
Except then it escalates the whole situation where then Tove will, like, he will either cry or tattle or he will hit back. And then it becomes like a whole thing where it might be that Tove snatched something away from her, which is very often. And then she goes saying, and then just like slaps him. So that's something that's like very, there's no consequences, nothing like that at her age.
Right.
But it's firmness and consistency. Telling her no. I think right now what we're working on is telling her no so that she gets used to no's.
Mm-hmm.
So like if she wants to grab another snack or if she's dumping everything out from the drawer, which she does multiple times a day, like today she took all of Tove's clothes out of the drawer and just made a whole mountain after I just folded them. But then with her, I don't even get mad. I'm just like, I just get tired. But I'm just like, no. So it's just constantly getting her used and familiar to boundaries and certain things that is just repeatedly telling her no, no, no. It doesn't mean that she'll not do it, but it's just the familiarity of like, oh, this is where the boundaries are. Okay. I think it will take a while for her to really understand it, but she will get there, and that's her stage right now. Basic politeness, teaching her to say thank you, teaching her not to demand things, but like ask in a nice way.
Mm-hmm.
It's honestly just very cute. It's kind of a cute and adorable stage right now. At this stage, you really just cannot do anything more than that.
Yeah.
Tove, though, is a different story. I mean, he turns 4 in less than 2 weeks. He's basically a 4-year-old. And the thing that we have been working on him since he was 2, we are still working on. and it is to be gentle and kind with his sister. The day Uri was born, we taught him gentle and kind. I think at that time, gentle and kind was a new terminology for him. So I demonstrated it to him. I was like, I would kick things and I'll punch things and say, is this gentle and kind? No. And he just got a kick out of it. He thought it was so funny and he would just pinch like pillows and punch pillows and be like, is this gentle and kind? No. And then I'll show him, demonstrate, like, this is gentle and kind. I'll hug the baby, give her a little kiss, like just gentle hands. Like I would demonstrate it for him. So he, at this point, he understands fully what gentle and kind means. But he still has a lot of trouble being gentle and kind for various reasons. Either he's just got too much energy, right? He likes to play rough. That's his way of playing. He's aggressive. He loves to tackle her, climb on her, crush her. Every day, the number of times I tell him, don't crush her. It's like, don't pick her up by the throat.
As the youngest of two older brothers, it never went away.
Some of it, it's just like, this is just his like boy energy coming out.
Brother.
Or like he still doesn't completely understand his own strength.
Yeah.
And he knows that she's smaller than her, but he forgets. Or he's just dysregulated. So he's like running around the house and he just runs into her, not on purpose, but she gets hurt. And then there's also times when he will kick her, hit her willfully. And let me just give you an example. This happened a few months ago. And this is a classic case where I really started thinking more about, man, I really need to be able to differentiate how to approach discipline in different scenarios. But this is what happened. It was like a cracker that Uri wanted. So I gave her a cracker and then Tove grabbed it from her hand. And then I said, no, give it back to her. It's hers. I gave it to her. So he ran around the house with the cracker and I said, no, come back, give it back to your sister. And then he finally comes and guess what he did? He drops it on the floor. He crushes it with his foot so that if he can't get it, she can't get it. And I will tell you exactly how I responded. I said, and then I did something even worse. I said, I don't like you. And let me explain. This is not prescriptive and telling you to do this, obviously. I'm just telling you what I did wrong. But in that moment, because at that time, we want to rush to go out. I think I need to drop him off at school or something, but I was already rushed.
It's like time crunch. So you're already stressed out.
Yes, I'm already stressed out. I just remember being overstimulated and tired. And then Tove did something that I haven't seen. It's rare for me to see that kind of meanness.
Like it was like spiteful almost.
Yes, it's spiteful. And I was just disgusted with that behavior. And there was like righteousness coming up, like, this is injustice. How? And Uri's crying, this poor girl. I was just like, this victim. She did nothing. She was holding her cracker and she was just about to eat it when her brother snatched it out. And then he crushed it on his foot. And it's just like the step by step, not just willful disobedience, but just the cruelty.
It's the intentional hurtfulness.
Yes.
That's where you're just like, oh, I get it completely. That's like where I get triggered. And I'm like,
but then my words, because I was just like so angry and I was so shocked.
Yeah.
I was like, but you're a good boy. Like your name literally means good. And he is a good, sweet boy. But the first time I saw that kind of just spitefulness, I was shocked. I was so angry. I was disgusted. My moral sense was just surging. And I hated that behavior. But I said, I don't like you. I immediately saw his eyes just widen because he's never heard that from me before. And he just ran away crying.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this is where my struggle with discipline is, because like in real time, you have to discern how to react. And then you have to like regulate yourself. And then also there was this part of me that was like, this is sin. And it is. That was sinful behavior. It wasn't just him playing rough or just him being dysregulated or him needing connection or something like that. It was like the first time I saw a classic example of sinful behavior. And my reaction was to immediately be punitive and be cruel back in a way. But then there was also this righteous sense of anger. It was right for me to be angry at that because that was really not right behavior. It was not godly and it was not gentle and kind, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then my reaction was definitely not thought out. I just reacted and then it just slipped out of my mouth. The wording was wrong and I very much hurt my child.
Yeah,
and
I get that.
eventually I needed to just breathe for a moment. But the moment those words came out, I knew I had done wrong. And I was like, oh, shoot, I should not have said that. I worded it wrong. What I was really feeling is that I don't like how you behave. But you know how it's just sometimes your tongue just get tied and you just, all you are is just angry. And so angry words come out and angry words hurt people. And later on, I really reflected on it. I came to him and hugged him. I just had to have a little bit more self-control and just have a calm moment to breathe in and out. And I hugged him and I said, I'm sorry, I love you. But what you did was wrong. And then I asked him, do I still love you if you did wrong? He's like, no. And I'm like, no, I do love you. Even when you're not gentle and kind, I love you.
Yeah.
And then we had to go to school. But it was good because it was just kept simple.
Right.
And it was just more about reconnecting with him. But then eventually I remember, I think it was that night, because I was thinking about this and replaying in my head, okay, I need to address this and we need to talk a little bit more about it so that he really understands that what he did was wrong, but also that how I reacted was wrong. And there needs to be some sort of a reparation and restorative, we need to redeem this. So during that time, I talked again about what happened. And I told him, was that gentle and kind? He's like, no. And I said, who's gentle and kind? And he said, Jesus. And he said, yes, Jesus is gentle and kind. We want to be gentle and kind like Jesus because Jesus is perfect. And then I said, we need to repair things with Uri. So he thought of an apology. He plucked some wildflowers.
That's so
or
cute.
something. And he's like, now every time he sees wildflowers, he's like, I'm going to pick it as an apology for Uri. And he didn't do anything wrong, but okay, that would be a gift, not an apology.
Yeah.
But he got the idea.
Yeah.
But that raises an interesting question for me because we talk about disciplining and I think both of us consume a lot of content online, parenting advice content online. Whether that's good or bad, I get a lot of value out of some of them. And then some I'm like, what we see on social media, especially Instagram, is such a shortened version, such a condensed version of something. Usually it's a concept that's way more nuanced. Even just the term gentle parenting, there's so many misunderstandings about what that means.
Yeah.
There are some people who sees it as permissive parenting, and then some people who sees it as just another word for authoritative parenting, which is the golden standard. But I've read a bunch of parenting books, mostly Christian, and I follow a lot of Christian therapists as well. And I kind of see these two main camps, it seems, on parenting. There's one camp where it's usually the more reformed group where they focus a lot on the sin nature of children. And I just read this book called Parenting, and there's a passage in there where it says, your children's biggest problem is not that they're immature, it's that they're sinners. So that's where it focuses on children are born with a sin nature and their behaviors reflect their sinful nature. And that discipline needs to address the sin and call for repentance. So that's where one camp I see kind of focus on. And then the other camp I see, mostly Christian therapists, they focus very much on, no, if the children are acting out, it's because they need connection. There's a need that's not being met, or there's a skill that has not been taught or reinforced. But children are immature and we need to look at the science of child development. So this other side, their focus on discipline will be co-regulation, and then how do you teach the right skills at the moment, and then connecting with the child, right?
Right.
And I'm sure there are a lot more nuances to this, but this seems to be the two main camps that I observed. And I think in the moment, how we view the behavior of the child affects how we discipline at that time. If we see it as sin, then we're going to react in a different way, where if we see it as, oh no, this behavior is this kid is just hungry.
Yeah.
Or this kid is, dysregulated and just needs a hug or something.
Yeah.
I would say, I think I'm very much influenced by the sinful part. That's my theological background. And so I remember when Woody was first born and Tove was showing signs of jealousy. He wasn't hitting her or anything like that, but he was just showing signs of jealousy. And my mother said, oh, that's because, he's 아담의 후예니까. He's a descendant of Adam and he's a sinner. When I first heard that, I was just like, that doesn't feel right to me. Because for him, he had all the attention and suddenly all of that attention is divided.
Right. It's valid what he's feeling.
It's completely valid. And he's a child. He doesn't understand what's happening.
Right.
And so for me, I was like, I don't think that is sin. I think that's him trying to understand, and it takes parenting to help him through that. And it can lead to sin.
Right.
It can lead to jealousy and being aggressive with his sister. But I think if you immediately just label that as sin, then you're not even giving him space to work out and process his emotions. Mm-hmm. Because it was a tough time for him. It was a tough transition for him, right? And I sometimes attend this Korean church. They have a really good children's program. But I've been feeling a little hesitant about it right now because they talk a lot about the devil and sin, and these are geared towards kids under 5. For example, like they would talk about Genesis chapter 3, and they would talk about, the Satan entering the snake and deceiving Eve. And they would say, see, you're not paying attention during worship. Satan's deceiving you. Don't let Satan deceive you.
Oh.
And I felt...
It's a little too young.
Well, my kids are 2 and 3. No, not even 2, like 1 and 3. I don't think it's developmentally appropriate for them to sit still for 30 minutes listening to a sermon.
They can barely sit still through a 5-minute book.
Right. But see, this is where there's a difference, where it's like, okay, I don't think that's sin. I think that's just them being kids. Right. And I really don't want to label those kind of behaviors as sinful. Right. Because then it just broadens too much the idea of sin. And by broadening it, making it even more ambiguous for kids.
It also starts to instill the work-based value of faith, right? I think it's also very Korean. I think
it is a very Korean thing too.
It's very misunderstanding for a child to be like, oh, well, every time I do something that's maybe disobedient or maybe it goes against to what your desires are, then that's Satan and that's sin. And that's very confusing and also a little fear-mongering. Unintentionally, but I think it just it starts to misguide the roots and the development of faith and understanding of sin, which is still kind of a weird concept for a kid to understand sin, I think, at this early age.
Yeah. It's cultural. Sometimes we put cultural values on spiritual language, and your cultural understanding of disobedience and good behavior, and then labeling that as, if you don't meet our cultural standards of obedience and good behavior, then that is sin.
Right. Yeah.
So that's something that I really want to be careful with, because that is my background. And I can see myself in the real-time moment when I'm just reacting. I can see that I can tend to fall back to that sin mentality.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's wrong either. I personally, I do think that children are born sinners and their hearts can lead them towards disoriented things that are not good. And they are also developing human beings who needs to be taught skills to how to regulate their emotions. And their brain is still developing for them to be able to even obey on the first time. That's a big thing I hear in some circles. You have to teach your child to obey the first time with a joyful heart. That's another phrase that I've repeatedly heard.
Oh, the joyful heart phrase, it bothers me. I've heard that growing up too, and I'm like, but that's not human. But anyways, that's fine. It's not human. That's not, okay, that's fine. But yes.
My reaction has been yes, that sounds good.
Oh.
Because that's, again, my background. Because that is ideally what I would love from my kids. Hey, Tove, go clean up. Yes, Mom. go, yay, I would love to clean up my room. Obviously, that is my preferred reaction. But half the time, he literally does not even hear me.
Yeah.
It does not enter the processing center of his brain. And so I have to differentiate between, is this like a willful disobedience? Or did he just not hear me because I'm telling him to do something across the room? And he's like really focused on playing right now.
Right. I mean, it kind of goes back to when I said at the very beginning, when you're like, what have you been working on? I'm like, yeah, my anxiety and fear, because it impacts me to be able to discipline or even to even differentiate my kids' needs at that moment. Because like for me, it's like, I don't think of it maybe as sin, but I think I just get this injusticeness, or my mind flashes forward like 20 years and it flashes forward to some crazy version that's not going to be him. But it flashes forward. I'm like, if I don't correct this now, it's going to be, I was like, how dare he? Because now this is clearly a sign that he's going to become this kind of human being. And I'm like, need to correct. And it creates this fear. A clear example of where my own anxiety just goes off the rails is like today we're out. Kian, because certain medications, he has to get injections every 4 weeks. So today was shot day, but we have a routine. He knows that like he gets his shot, he gets a treat, and then we'll get boba afterwards because that's like a really high value treat for him, right? So it kind of just helps. And so it helps him push through the pain of the injection. Yeah. So we went to go get boba and, okay, the boundary setting, right? Like I told them, don't play with the trash can. And then Kian thinks it's funny and Tyke follows Big Brother, right? And so I'm not even mad at Tyke because it's like he's just doing what his brother is doing. And that's where it's also been really hard. We're like parenting because they both are wrong, but also Tyg wasn't going to do it. But because Kian did it, now he's doing it. But Kian's like, oh, he, I'm going to play with the trash can. My own anxiety of like, that's disgusting. You're going to touch poop. This is an urban trash can. Lord knows how many homeless people have peed in it. Like my mind just went crazy off and I flipped out and I'm like, stop grabbing the trash. But I'm trying to be calm about it because I'm in public. So I'm like, all I do is instead it gets internalized and I just stomp over and I'm grabbing both of my boys by the arms like aggressively. And I'm like, hands on the stroller, like yelling at them and like trying to get to the car. Once I eventually calmed down and I was able to take a few breaths. And I was like, that was an unnecessary reaction to the kids just having, it's boundary pushing and it was inappropriate. And it's also gross and unhealthy in many ways. It's just a safety issue, especially urban Los Angeles trash cans. Gross. But like my own anxiety of like what could potentially come from this just went off and it dictated how I chose to respond in that moment. And then I like come back. But
I can relate.
Yeah. It's just, and then afterwards I like got in the car and also I'm stressed out because, we all know the stress of packing children into a car in a public parking garage, right? Yep. Elevators, like packing the stroller, getting them all in. I have 3 kids by myself. They're all running in the freaking
dirt. And they're crazy drivers who
they're
drive so fast
crazy.
In a parking lot.
And they whip the curves so hard. And
you're in a high anxiety, high stress situation. It's like walking into combat.
Yeah, especially this parking lot. There's so many blind spots. People whip around super fast. I've almost been hit as a car like multiple times to this part. So I'm already stressed out. So I'm like just trigger happy yelling at. I was like, I'm throwing your boba away. That's what I said. That is my discipline in my unhinged moment. And then I'm like, wait a minute. I don't want to throw the boba away. I want my boba. And I was like,
you paid for this.
Yeah, I was like, this is $26. I'm not throwing away $26. And so I had to like back.
You should have said, I'm going to drink all of this by myself.
Yeah, that's what I was like, oh my gosh. So finally I get them all in the car and I'm like, all right. And I started driving because I'm like, I'm just going to get driving. And finally, when we get to a stop sign, where I finally get home and I'm calm-ish, I finally turn around and I'm like, hey, I'm sorry for losing it on you. And I need you to understand trash cans are dirty. They are not an appropriate thing to be playing with. And it's really unhealthy. It's like a gross thing. Do you play it with your trash at home? And he's like, no. I'm like, then don't play with the trash cans elsewhere. They're even more gross. At least home, we know what's inside.
My children play with the trash can. Uri loves digging through trash. And then she would lick her fingers after.
I know.
So
The things that kids touch and when they lick their fingers, I'm like, ugh. But I think the aspect of sinfulness, I think is interesting for me because like I understand the point of view and the perspective. I guess I just think of it as like we're all sinful and we aren't born with understanding the concept of right or wrong. It's something that's taught and it falls on the parent to teach them this is right, this is wrong, this is just, this is not just, this is kind, this is not kind, because we're all born as sinners. And it's the hard role and duty of the parent to kind of help guide and form
yes.
what that is. But I think for me, like growing up in like very strict Christian points of view, it's very confusing because sometimes I felt that that aspect of sin was pushed so hard that there was no grace also taught simultaneously with it for me personally growing up. And so it was really like God wants a good child who never disagrees and obedient and all these things. But I've been thinking about leading up to this conversation, like knowing what today's podcast was. I was like, okay, like ultimately, what type of disciplining do I really want? And I was like, who's my ultimate discipliner? And it's God. Right. And so I'm like, what type of relationship do I have with God? And God wants me in all facets of my personality.
I think that's where I struggle too, because I still struggle with like when I do something wrong and I know that it's wrong, I still feel a lot of shame and I feel like God will punish me for it.
I see.
I have to fight with what I believe versus what my instinctive thoughts are.
I see.
And so I'm constantly battling that. I know God, but also there's so much baggage behind that I'm still unloading that baggage from my true understanding of God. So that's affect my parenting too.
Yeah, I get that. I didn't really develop a very strong understanding and perception of God until I was in college because I didn't really have a true parent figure. It was my brothers. And they don't have the strong impact, right? So I didn't have a dad for all of my memories. I have very few memories of my dad itself, but I don't remember him ever really parenting me, really. And even my brother will attest to that. Dad was gone all the time. And my mom, I don't have very many memories. I only have 3 memories, and they're all unhinged. By the time I was 7, which is where a lot of your long-term memory starts to kick in, she was working full time. She was working like 80, 70, 60 hours a week. She was gone.
Yeah.
So it's just my brothers. And my kunimo and kunimobo. They're like the only figures I have. So I didn't really have a context of a parental love disciplining me.
Got it.
I think for me, I kind of veer on when I like think about God and I think about how he and I are in our relationship, there isn't a lot of shame. I think it is more of I just wanted to understand God as a father because that has been my greatest struggle. So that's where mine is, where it's like I don't even have an understanding of God father. And that has always been my working point of view of like, who are you as a father in my life? And maybe that's why I've been thankful and being able to have such a like vivid and like hearing voice relationship with him because I can hear him speak and I can feel him in my life where he's like, this is what a father would feel like in this moment for you. And that's what it should feel like. Because I didn't really have that at all. I had just an absent father. So I remember when I became a Christian, more of like an actual like reading the Bible and living into it, people would talk about dads. And I was like, I don't know what that means. And people would talk about God the Father. And I was like, what's that concept? So, we're coming from different points of view of like, I had like a complete absent understanding. And so mine has been a little bit of a different point of view. And I think that's why when it comes to like, when I'm thinking about like, how does God discipline me? It's very patient and it's very, very welcoming. If we go to our episode 1 where I was like, yeah, I don't mind if my kid collides with me, and that's very much my relationship with God, where I'd be like, I'll sit down and I'm like, these are all my gripes. This is what I'm mad about. Why are you not doing this? And I'm like, and the God's just like, okay. And he's like, are you done? And I'm like, no. I have 4 more days of griping and then I'll be done. So I think that's how I view it. I'm like, well, if God disciplines me with such patience and such graciousness and such long suffering, how can I show that to my child? And I'm like, Jesus, that's how. Like, because I have no patience. I have some level of grace. My long suffering is very short. I was like, kindness is sometimes there. Gentleness is not there at all in any way possible.
I feel like we repeat this so much, but yeah, so much of parenting is knowing and understanding and developing that relationship with God so that we reflect that relationship with your children. That's why it's a constant journey. We don't ever fully know and understand and experience God. It's a lifelong process.
Lifelong process. Parenting is a lifelong process. And I think we want to do our best. And so we're trying our best to do everything we can in these early stages. And also just us, like, as humans, for me, I just want to get there already. Like, let me just be the parent I want to be. And I feel God's always constantly just being like, nope, you're still going to be figuring out when they're 30. And I'm like, oh, should we be? Like, can't we be fully evolved by the time they're 10? Like, can't we just be final products of parenting and hit our grand final product? And it's like, no, it's not. And it's a constant evolution. And like, I think it's also a gift in knowing that it's a constant process and that there's constant chances and opportunities for us to also repair with our kids.
Yeah. But it also means that we would never produce these fully formed human beings.
No.
And that is not even our job.
No.
We are meant to walk with them for a period of their life,
right,
to guide them. And even then, they will continue walking with God to constantly evolve, just like we are right now. I feel you too about feeling impatient with myself. But then when I look back, like even though I say I still sometimes struggle with shame and thinking of God as a punitive God, when I look back, like my relationship with God has really grown over the years through hardship, through joys, through just time, through experiencing Him and experiencing Him in realistic, practical ways. And that's something I think about too. Like sometimes I do get very discouraged with disciplining my children. Not so much Uri, but because she's still young, but with Tove. I mean, as I mentioned, it's 2 years in and we're still working on gentle and kind. He's still not perfectly gentle and kind. And then there are moments where I'm like, oh my God, like, will you never learn? I have been teaching you, repeating this, like this one thing for, I feel like forever. And like, when will you get it? And then I feel discouraged, and then I feel like, ugh. And that affects my parenting too, because there are moments when I'm already tense even before he does a behavior I don't like, because I'm just anticipating him misbehaving. And that already just creates a stressful environment and so much negative energy. And
it's
just
like a self-fulfilling prophecy,
yes,
right?
Exactly. But I realized that, okay, instead of just viewing it this moment, take a step back and when I look in the last 2 years, like he has grown. He still makes mistakes because I still make mistakes. Like I am an adult and I still have tantrums. How much more a 3.5-year-old or almost 4-year-old? And he really does know gentle and kind. I've noticed that, okay, he actually does apologize self-voluntarily without me instructing him to, because he's learned the importance and the value of reparation. Like when he is rough with Uri and she falls and she cries and he will say, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. And then he will try to repair with her by giving her a hug or something. Sometimes she doesn't want to be touched, but he attempts.
Yeah.
Another classic example is like one of the things that I have been working on him is like when we go grocery shopping, And, grocery shopping with kids can be hazardous. Because
yeah.
they see a lot of shiny objects that they want, and then it becomes a tantrum and a meltdown. And Tove's thing, especially when we go to Trader Joe's or the Korean Mart, is Trader Joe's gives out free lollipops.
Oh, don't tell my kids that. They don't know that.
Dude, I never offered it to him. They offered.
I didn't even know that. You told me. I was like, they've never got a lollipop.
The cashier rips out like a whole handful of lollipop. Do you want a lollipop? And from then on, Tove learns this very quick, that at Trader Joe's, when you're checking out, you get free lollipops. And usually, we are at Trader Joe's like late morning just before lunch or late afternoon just before dinner. So then I have to say, no lollipop right now. You can have the lollipop after the meal. And it was always like tears and crying.
Delayed gratification is also a beautiful skill to learn, but it's the most painful as a parent.
But also one of the most important boundaries that they can learn as children. They
So
need to learn that you can't have what you want right now.
Yes.
Or sometimes ever.
Right.
And it's always that tense moment when you're checking out. Like, here comes the tantrum.
Yeah.
But one day, I just realized, I told him, okay, here's your lollipop. I'll hold on to it and I'll give it to you after dinner. He's like, okay. And then another time, he just handed me the lollipop by himself. I'm like, oh, I was just so surprised. But I was like, okay, all those parenting advice works. Be consistent.
Repetition does work. It's just painful sometimes because it's like, oh.
But when that happened, I was just so shocked. Wow, you learned? You did? And then I think it was just like a moment for me, like, yes, I just need to keep at it. Like, I myself have to learn delayed gratification. Like, I don't get to immediately expect my kids to learn a discipline skill in 1 week, 2 weeks, sometimes even months. Like,
right.
You just keep on, have to be consistent, keep on repeating, and one day, hopefully, they will get it.
Mm-hmm. Dude, I did not know about the lollipop thing. Thank gosh.
Yeah, I will not mention it to your kids ever.
No.
I promise you that.
But yeah, delayed gratification is such an important skill. Consistency as a parent is such an important skill. It's a hard skill. It's so hard.
And another one that all the parenting advice says first is stay calm.
Yeah, no, I can't.
No, we can. Again, like, this is a skill that we are still learning. Repetition, failure, repetition. But one day,
it will be.
We will learn to achieve calmness. Maybe not 100% of the time, maybe 10. And then 10.01%. 10.02%. One day we will slowly inch up to like 30%.
Yeah, I will say, like, being calm, I think what I have noticed actually is I'm able to recover faster and repair faster now. Before, that used to just be like a hard spiral. And that is now something where I'm like able to, all right, I messed up. You messed up too. You messed up. I messed up. This is why this is not appropriate for the both of us. And slowly but surely, the calm will happen too. We're learning.
Yeah.
And we're having to discipline ourselves into that process, which is a very hard process.
It is. But for me too, I learned, okay, so this is fresh. But just yesterday, I got to experience what it means to be calm, even though I just wanted to scream. But I was able to stay calm because I actually saw the behavior for what it was. And instead of putting a moral value on it, I saw that this was a kid. Okay, so what happened? Yesterday was Wednesday, right? Today's Thursday. Yes, mom brain. But yesterday, Joyce and I had a play date and we were out. And I don't know if anyone can relate, but for me, being outside and if there's sun, I get drained when I get home. Something about the sun, like
the sun is draining. It's very
energy
draining
from me. Okay, so I came back. I'm tired, but then I also had signed up for a meal train for one of our friends, mutual friends, who just had a baby, and so get home, put Uri down for a nap, and then I was immediately like cooking, baking for 2 hours while I was managing Tove. But Tove also had a very active day. He was on his bike the whole morning. He was running up and down. He also had a lot of sun. And then he was baking and helping me cook or running around the house again. And then by late afternoon, and I was solo parenting, he was just having tantrum after tantrum. First, it was because we had to return a book from the library that was due. It's called Amazing Apples, and it's a dumb book, but he was just like crying. He was legitimately like crying like I was trying to take away his favorite toy. And I told him I will go back to the library tomorrow and borrow it again, but it is due. And he was crying and meltdown. But then we also had to go to Trader Joe's because we had run out of several stuff. So then we piled to the car and then we go to Trader Joe's. And okay, while we were grocery shopping, he has a meltdown again in the middle of the store because he insisted on buying an orange bell pepper. He has a thing about vegetables. He's a very interesting kid where he would actually go to sleep with a vegetable.
Yeah, he gets emotional support veggies. It's so cute.
Like today, he clung on to a grape tomato the whole day at school. Oh, by the way, he's still holding on to it right now as he sleeps. This is my Tove.
It's very impressive that he doesn't crush it, though. You have to give him credit.
Well, he did complain to me that it was a little wrinkly, and I told him that's because you're crushing it.
He didn't pop it. Impressive.
Yeah, I know. It's his baby.
There's restraint. There is self-restraint.
There's some sort of self-restraint, yes. But, okay, so he wanted his orange bell pepper. I said no because nobody in the house likes bell peppers. And we already have a bell pepper from our previous trip that nobody touched, and it's getting wrinkly and disgusting because we all don't like bell peppers. Anyway, so he is just like, and everyone's staring. I told him, no, I already said no. And then I said, I think you're tired. Let's go home. But I was like, okay, tantrum after tantrum. And over things that he usually wouldn't be melting down over. So I knew, like, okay, this is a tired kid because I'm tired.
Yeah.
He's tired. Okay, let's go. And then we're checking out. And then he asked for a red lollipop. Gets the red lollipop. And then I said, as usual, we have this after dinner. And then melts down, screaming. And then, one of the Trader Joe's people, they're so kind. They're like, does he want stickers? And I was like, no, stickers won't fix this. He's just tired. But then I was impressed with myself. I just wanted to give myself a giant hug of congratulations because I stayed calm the entire time.
Especially like grocery store meltdowns are so overstimulating. You're just like,
meanwhile, Uri's like crushing my bag of chips with her hands, like it's like a squeeze bottle. And I'm like, it's cool.
I'm fine. We're all okay.
But I think the number one thing was just because I saw what was actually happening. Yeah. And it was that Tove is very tired.
Yes.
And we need to go home soon. And probably we should not have done this Trader Joe's run. So I was able to stay calm. I was still holding boundaries. I still said no. I didn't give him that lollipop. We got in the car while he was screaming. And I played some worship music for him, really to calm all of us down. And it all ended up well because he was able to calm down because I was able to be calm.
박수.
Yes, thank you. I feel like I just deserve, I don't know. I need a donut. I need someone to give me gifts for this.
Spa day for the lady, David.
But this is when I was like, oh, this is a discipline example that actually went well.
I think that's it's the key, right? One, not accidentally putting a moral value on something that really doesn't need a moral value on it. Not accidentally putting anxious projection fears onto it. As a parent, I think being able to step away from that, almost mentally being able to step back and looking at the whole picture. And I think that's hard because sometimes as parents, we're just in it. We're so in it. And we're just kind of going minute by minute and we're just trying to get through the thing. And so the fact that you were able to kind of just mentally pause, take a step back and you're able to see Tove in the big picture of he's just tired. And this is also on me because I probably shouldn't have done this. To be able to take the blame away from him and then to actually shift it back onto yourself is a huge moment. And so that's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I talked about the calmness and the consistency, but also I didn't give him a lecture.
Yeah.
I didn't at nighttime, like, oh, you know what you should have done? Because I knew that wasn't like a behavior issue. He was just reacting because his whole body was just exhausted.
Yeah. And he himself couldn't even control it. He probably wanted to hold it in and he just couldn't.
And he told me too, he was like, I'm just having a hard time. Like, yes, you are. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I dragged you through this entire day without even giving you some rest. I need rest too. I didn't give myself any rest. So I feel you.
Yes. Parenting is hard. I think part of it too, I don't know if this is what it feels like for you too, but for me, there are days where I like hold it in, where I'm like able to stay calm through like a lot of the overstimulation, that they do a small little thing. That's where I over discipline on something that wasn't really necessary to be disciplined on. And then
totally been there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that's where often it happens for me, is more often than not, I'm usually just holding it in and like able to like push through it in the sense of like, I'm like, all right, I'm cool. But there's a certain point where I'm like, I'm not cool. And yeah, I also don't have the ability to be able to step back in this moment to get myself cool, to like try to regulate myself way through it. And it's just like one small thing that I just self-implode. And I put the blame on the child instead of putting it on myself, is really what it comes down to.
Yeah, I remember one time when I was, again, solo parenting for multiple days at a time. And I was just tired. I was dysregulated. And I finally blew up. And it definitely wasn't misbehavior. It was annoying because they were dumping out tubs of rice.
Oh my Lord, that is so annoying.
But again, like, it was them being silly. And it was honestly also my fault to put that tub of rice where it was easily accessible.
Right.
That was my first mistake. But then like I was like flipped out because I saw them as being disobedient. I literally told them, I'm so tired. Why are you making me more tired? Like, don't you even care about me? It was like I was...
The unhinged, tired mom. Yes, I know exactly.
It's like, why are you doing this to me?
Yeah, why are you being a child and making my life miserable right now when I chose to have you in this moment? I totally get it. Yeah, that's like all the time. And I'm like, why can't you just do it? And I'm like, why? Because why am I expecting him to be able to do this right now? Why?
Or sometimes like Tove will yell when he's frustrated, and then I get frustrated and I yell at him to stop yelling.
I know the irony. I notice that too, and I'll like raise my voice. I'm like, stop yelling!
I know.
Stop yelling! Like they're gritted teeth.
Yeah, and this is when like Toby will be like, "Don't yell at me, okay? That's not gentle and kind."
You're like, dang it!
I just loved how he's like, "Don't yell at me, okay?" Like, where did you get that?
Oh yeah. Ian's just like so funny in the sense of like his ability. He'll just kind of like take it, and then finally he'll just be like, I'm just a good kid having a hard time. And I'm like,
He's right. He's seeing it accurately. I love that though.
I guess you are. I guess I am having a hard time. He's like, yeah, you are. I'm like, yep, I am. I'm going to move away now.
Okay. This to me is proof that you are doing a great job.
Thank you.
That he does not internalize things. Even moments when you might erupt, he doesn't internalize it, but he knows that he is a good kid. And he's just having a hard time, or you're having a hard time.
Yeah.
That's discernment for a 4-year-old.
Yeah. There was a couple of times where I like just flipped out. And I remember I came back and I apologized once I was calm. And then I remember he was just like, you were scaring me so much I had to like hide. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. That sucks. He's like, yeah, please don't do that again. I'm like, I will try not to. But I will say one time I actually was able to like catch myself when I was about to rage for no necessary reason on them. And I was like, I need to go downstairs. I need alone time because I'm getting crazy. And I'm going to get mad at you. And I tell them, I'm like, I'm about to say some mean things to you for no reason. So I need to go downstairs. And then I remember I was like downstairs and Tig, obviously being my Velcro baby, was trying to come downstairs. And I hear King going, no, leave Mom alone. Leave Amma alone. She doesn't want us there. I could hear it. Tig's like, no, let me go down. And then King's like, no, like do not,
Yes,
don't
your bodyguard.
do it. He's like, do not let the dragon rage. He's like, let the dragon rage downstairs.
Let the dragon cool down.
And I hear Tiger like, no.
Dude, is this episode about disciplining our children or disciplining ourselves?
Oh, it's both.
It's both.
I mean, because like as you're disciplining your kids, it's such a self-reflection on how you discipline your kids and what you're choosing to discipline your kids on. It's hard.
Yeah. One thing I've been thinking about is like, oh, I need to actually also work on how I speak to David. So it can be snappy or just like too casual where I don't say please or like thank you. It's just like, hey, pass me that. You know? And then David would do that to me too, right? And the kids are just listening to our exchange.
Yeah.
I'm like, we are not gentle and kind to each other. We need to watch our tone with each other. David and I, our relationship has never been like, oh, 자기야, you know, hey babe. Like, I call him David, he calls me Sophia. We're not like lovey-dovey externally, even though we deeply love each other.
Right.
But then I realized like, we don't have to make ourselves be like so naturally affectionate, but we can work on our tone. That's something I've been kind of thinking of and I've been talking to David about too.
Honestly, like Tyler and I, we openly argue in front of the kids. There's different camps for different people, but we openly argue. And that has put a greater level of, I think, importance and urgency for me and for Tyler, for us to like be able to argue well because we're modeling it in front of our kids. And also modeling repair because afterwards they see us and like kiss and hug each other and we're like back and we're happy again. Because for Tyler, he never saw his parents argue. Ever.
I never saw my parents argue either.
And like never had their voice raised or anything like that. So he didn't have like an understanding of argument. It was to the point where he actually thought a good marriage meant that you never fight. Like that's
there's
like
no conflict.
There's no conflict. And so even when we were dating, I'm like, we're in the middle of an argument. And he's like, he didn't even like the word argument. And he's like, no, we're not arguing. We're having differences. And I'm like, we are in a fight, man. We are arguing. And it's come a long way. So as a result for us, we want to be able to model that. But I mean, sometimes
I think there's value in that.
I think so too. I think being able to model it, and it's also puts a greater level of accountability on us to be able to do better.
I think it also seems to maybe create a sense of security for your kids too, that you can have conflict and you can still be in love.
Right.
And you can still repair with conflict. Like conflict is not something to be afraid of.
Yeah. And I'll also have to talk with the kids afterwards. Be like, I know Amma yelled at Appa. And, we still love each other. I just want you to know we still love each other. I will say the one thing about disciplining also that's been hard for me that I've been working through is really the age gap and also being able to do it fairly. Because Kian gets a lot of it. Because at this current stage of where they are right now, Tig is like Kian's shadow. And Kian obviously has such a hard sway and influence onto Tig that Tig will do things because Kian just tells him to do it. And so we're hard on Kian because we are also trying to teach him like your words have meaning and impact.
Yeah.
And you as the oldest brother have very heavy impact on your younger brother. And that's not okay. It's not okay for you to think it's funny for him to do something that we just told him not to do. And that's on you. I mean, I knew that was going to be a thing, but like I now realize like I'm like, oh, this is why the eldest also just gets they get harped on all the time because they unintentionally are the example for all the other siblings, right?
Because I'm the older sibling and I remember as a kid constantly being told, your siblings are watching you, your siblings are watching you.
Right.
And it just felt like I had a higher standard of performing this good behavior for the sake of my sibling.
Yeah. Which I don't want for Kian. Like, I don't want it to be where like, you need to be best because you are the example. Because I think that's not fair. Because at the end of the day, all the other kids are going to be who they are too, right? And I don't want this unfair pressure on Kian. But however, when he's telling his younger brother to do things that's going to get in trouble, I'm like, well, I guess we're now going to have to tell you the thing that I didn't want to have to accidentally put on you. But I'm like, you have influence on your siblings. And it's such a weird It's such a hard balance for a 4.5-year-old.
It is a tough area to thread on.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to put undue responsibility on him.
Right.
But he does indeed have a responsibility as the oldest sibling.
Right.
It's unfair, but that is the way it is. And he also needs to learn that he does have a measure of responsibility. It's the trick is trying not to make it so onerous and burdensome on him. Rather, how do you make that responsibility be something that he takes pride in? That's tough. That takes a lot of wisdom. I don't have it, so you can tell me. When you learn it. When you figure it out, please tell me.
We'll just work through it together. How about that? We'll work through it simultaneously.
This is what the podcast is all about. This is what this podcast is for. We're just working things out together in real time.
And we're bringing all of you along with us.
Yeah. On that note, I think this is a good place to end. Yeah. I think this was a good conversation, Joyce.
Yeah. I think so too.
And I think this is a topic that will continue to expand and evolve as the kids get older. And hopefully as we get more experience and wisdom under our belt. There are so many parenting advice out there. The noises are loud. And I'm in the process of chewing the meat and spitting out the bones. And figuring out what actually works for us. Because not everything works. But so far, I think we can both agree that the two things is be calm and be consistent. And that is the skeleton of how we discipline our kids.
Yep.
Which we're still learning how to do.
Which we'll y'all will be hearing about our journey to get there. Sophia, you want to close us out? Yeah.
Oh, dear Heavenly Father, thank you that we get to call you Father, Lord. Thank you that you are our perfect Father and that the relationship that we have with you, the love that you show us, the goodness and the patience and the firmness that you show us, Lord, that you're modeling for us on how to also model for our children. Lord, during this time, we just have been reflecting a lot. We know that there are so many things that we need to work on, but we're thankful that you are a good God and that you are working on it. We believe you, Lord. We believe and we have faith in you and we trust in you that you're working deep work in us. And Lord, give us wisdom. Give us patience. Help our love not just be a feeling, but put wisdom into our love. Put practical know-how into our love so that each moment, Lord, we lean on you and we hear from you on how to guide our children. Guide us in our guidance of our children, Lord, and give us grace as you always do. Give us compassion and mercy as you always do. When we fail, inevitably, but during those times of repentance, Lord, I pray that our kids will see that. And our kids will see that we can always call out to you and you will answer with love and with mercy. Your loving kindness, Lord, is what we drink from every day. And we need it so much. And we thank you that it never runs out. I pray for all of our listeners, Lord, that whatever journey we are on in discipline right now, Lord, that we walk with you, we grow in you. And I pray that our mistakes will not be hurtful or wounds for our children, but you will redeem them. You will redeem all of our mistakes, Lord. And our kids will get to know you through us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you so much for listening. If you've been liking our episodes, please follow, like, subscribe, or leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. We'd love to connect with you and hear your thoughts and feedback. You can find us on Instagram at The Old Oma Club or reach out to us at theoldomaclub@gmail.com. Gotta give a big thank you to Kevin McLeod for our music. Until next time, Omas, may the Lord bless you and keep you sane, hydrated, and fulfilled the way only He can.